Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the CMA Show. This is our weekly episode every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We have an hour of Q&A, so I'll be answering all your CMA-related questions. And please say hello as you join today's show. I would love to see who's here. Hey, Sharif, how are you doing? Welcome to today's show. Good to see you. This show is all about answering your questions regarding the CMA designation, the CMA exam. There are so many steps to become a CMA, so that's why I am hosting these weekly shows to guide you every single week and make sure that you guys have all your questions answered and clarity as to how to pursue the CMA. And not just that, but make the most of it. Because as you know, my mission is to help you guys accelerate your career and income to a six-figure salary as a CMA. That's been my mission for many years and will continue to be so. Hi, Ilda. Welcome to today's show. Good to have you. Jaylene, hey, how's it going? Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is so good. And then we have also people on Instagram. So welcome, Arsha. Welcome to today's show. So the main question that I'll be answering first of all today is, what is the CMA exam like? For those of you who have not taken the exam yet, I know you're wondering what is the exam like? So today I'm going to give you the inside scoop as to how the CMA is, how it's structured, and what you can expect on exam day. Hello, everybody. Hi. Thank you all for tuning in. This is awesome. Like I always say every Friday, I'm so happy to be here because I get to see you guys and interact live. It's just so fun for me. All right. So before we get started, I would like to remind you guys to please go ahead and get your exam cheat sheet. You can get it from the link in the description above or below this video. You don't have to do it right now, but I would recommend that you get it. It's totally free. My best 9 tactics to pass the CMA exam. So it's totally free. It'll get delivered to your inbox, so you can grab it after today's show. All right, so having said that, let's go ahead and get the show on the road. All right. Again, welcome to today's show. The main question I'll be talking about today is, what is the CMA exam like? But before we dive into it, hello, De. Welcome to today's show. Aksha, hello. Great to have you guys. This is awesome. Hey, what's up, Nick? Welcome to today's show. Here we have other people also on Instagram. This is great. So for those of you who are new to our weekly show, it's a Q&A format. You are more than welcome to ask me as many questions as you'd like. All you have to do is drop them in the comments and I'll tackle one at a time for the entire hour, okay? If that sounds like a plan, go ahead and do it at any point. I'm here for an hour and just want to hang out and provide guidance. So today's question is, right, I just mentioned it, is what is the CMA exam like? For those of you who have not taken the exam yet, I know that's what you're wondering. So I want to give you guys the inside scoop as to how the CMA exam is. For those of you who have already taken the exam, then you know what to expect, what the structure is. But if you are new to the CMA journey, or if you just started to study and prepare for your first CMA exam, then let's talk about this because we want to set the right expectations right out of the gate. All right, so the CMA exam is broken down into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Each part has a 4-hour exam. The first 3 hours are dedicated to the multiple choice questions section of the exam. And in this section, you will be presented with 100 multiple choice questions, or MCQs for short. And you have 3 hours, so it's an average of 1.8 minutes to answer 100 questions. You may be thinking that that sounds impossible. It sounds way too fast because a lot of these questions are going to require long calculations, long form calculations rather. So you may be feeling that it's not possible or doable, but I want to tell you that it is. I've done it. Thousands of CMAs have done it. It takes repetition, it takes practice, and you will get there. So if you are just starting your journey to earn your CMA, don't fret, my friend. You will get there. It will take practice, dedication, hard work, but I can guarantee you that if you put in the time, you will get there for sure. And for those of you who have already taken the exam, you know what I'm talking about. You know how fast the time goes by, but because you've practiced, you were able to finish your exam. So that's the first part of the exam, and part 1 and part 2 have the same structure, okay? So when I talk about the actual exam, I'm referring to both parts, 1 and 2. So the first 3 hours are dedicated to your 100 MCQs. Next, you have another hour, this is your 4th hour, in which you'll be presented with 2 essay scenarios. So you have 2. Now, within each essay scenario, you will have between 3 to 6 individual questions. So you have about 30 minutes to answer each one. Now, if you go past 30 minutes for a specific essay, that's totally fine. You're not going to get moved over to the next one. You have 1 hour to toggle between both essays. So if you spend 35 minutes on one, then you will have 25 for the other and vice versa. So in essence, it's just 1 hour to tackle both essays. But ideally, we want to see you tackling or finishing each essay within 30 minutes. All right. Mukaram is saying, thank you. I got both books. Congratulations. That's great to hear. What Mukaram is talking about, for those of you who may not know, I've been giving away my CMA Part 1 and Part 2 textbooks for free. People just had to cover shipping and handling, but the textbooks were completely free. And I've been doing this for a little while because during the coronavirus lockdown, I know that so many, millions of people around the world are stuck at home, just like I am. This is where I live. This is my home. And I've been here every day for months. And I wanted to help my fellow accountants. I wanted to help you continue learning, improving your skill set, your knowledge, so that when the economy bounces back, you will be prepared to tackle and get a better job or get a higher paying job or even get a raise. But to get there, it's important to prepare now, right? You could watch Netflix or Amazon Prime all day, every single day if you want. But after the lockdown ends, you're gonna look back and wonder what you did with your time. And I'm gonna venture out and guess that most human beings, if not everyone, we always strive to do better in life. We always strive to improve our lives and the lives of our families, always moving ahead, right? So based on that assumption, when you look back and you have spent this time learning, preparing for the CMA exam, you will thank yourself because you will feel like you did not waste this opportunity. And I say it's an opportunity because we have a lot of time in our hands right now. So what we do with that time will determine how we're going to be, where we're going to be in the next year or 2 or even 5 years. So right now we have been given, I try to look at everything from a positive angle, right? So right now we've been given the gift of time. We have time right now and a lot of it. So using it wisely will pay dividends down the road. So for that reason, I wanted to help my fellow accountants and offer my textbooks for free so that you can at least now start reading the textbook, start studying for the CMA exam. Maybe the testing centers in your city are closed, but they will open up again someday in the near future. So if you start studying today, you will be ready when those testing centers open. You can take your exam and become a CMA. So it will be awesome. And I would love to hear stories of professionals like you who took this time to prepare and earn a certification, a highly specialized certification like the CMA. You'll feel proud of yourself. I'm going to feel very proud of you because you've spent your time wisely. So anyways, so I've been doing that, and I'm going to finish that giveaway this month of July. July 31st is the last day. I had about 300 textbook sets, and they're half gone already. So there's a little bit left. If you want to grab yours, you can do so on my website. I think there's a link also. And just pay shipping and handling, and that's it. These textbooks I normally sell for $300, but I've reduced the price to $0. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling, and they're yours. Okay? So I hope that helps. And that's what Mukaran was talking about. So I just wanted to clarify that. So great question. Okay, so going back to the main question of today, for those of you who are just joining, what is the CMA exam like? Right? So we talked about 2 exams. Each exam is 4 hours long for a total of 8 hours, right? Then we talked about you had 3 hours for 100 multiple choice questions as the first section of the exam, and then you have 1 hour to answer 2 essay scenarios. With practice, with time, you will be able to answer every single question within the 4 hours, trust me, but it takes practice and you will get there. 1, you will need an online test bank if you don't have one yet, because online test banks will simulate the real exam. They also have timed exams to kind of give you that taste of finishing an exam under pressure. And I think that's important because when you show up at a Prometric center for your real exam, you will feel comfortable in that type of environment. And you will not only be comfortable, but you will also excel and pass on your first attempt. Let me have a sip of my coffee real quick. All right, so that's pretty much the structure, what the exam is like. So when you show up at a Prometric center, you will have to check in. They have biometric type of system, so you can use your fingerprint, perhaps I think your eye also. You can use that as well. It depends on country and city, but definitely fingerprint. You need to show forms of ID, 2 forms of ID. You don't have to bring paper and pen or a pencil. They will provide you with that at the testing center. Okay, and actually they won't let you in with it, so just leave that at home. You will get a locker, so your purse, your wallet, your keys, whatever you have that is not your calculator, you can put them in that locker and it'll be fine. But instead of bringing a lot of things with you to the testing center, I would suggest just bring the bare minimum. You can bring your flashcards just to review it last minute if you want to. You can do that, and then before you go into your exam, they'll give you a locker. You can put all your stuff in there and secured. And when you leave the testing center, you can take your stuff with you. This, let me show you. This is the calculator that I have. It's a TI BA2 Plus Texas Instrument calculator. I've used this for my CMA Part 1 and Part 2 exam. It's fantastic. I love it. There are other calculators you can use. Go to cmaexamacademy.com, go to my blog, and you can find an article on calculators that will walk you through on the models that are approved and what you can bring to the exam. Okay, because the last thing I want is for you guys to show up at the Prometric Center and have your calculator banned because it's not approved. That would totally suck. I'm just gonna say it, okay? It wouldn't be the most fun because then you're left with no tool, right? So it's important that you choose the right calculator from the get-go. Even before the exam, you wanna use the same calculator that you've used throughout your study program for the exam because you will feel more comfortable with it. You'll know where the keys are. You just know how it works. So I would suggest that you buy one right away and use the same one throughout your study program, okay? So then once you go into the testing center, they will give you a scratch paper, a pencil, and they will seat you, and you have a computer in front of you, and then you will go through I think it's a 10-minute orientation of how the computer system works and all that. So you'll go through that. Once you finish that orientation, then your CMA exam will start. You will have a little clock. You'll see the time. It will be a countdown for a total of 3 hours for the MCQ and 1 hour for the essays for a total of 4 hours. you may be wondering what happens when the clock hits 3 hours in the MCQ section. What's going to happen is that the exam will automatically move you to the essay section, but only if you got at least 50 of the questions correct. Okay, so if you got 50% of the questions correct, then when the clock hits 3 hours, you will be moved to the essay section automatically. Now, if you finish the MCQ section early, then you can manually move over to the essay section. That's totally fine. Whatever time you had left will carry over to the essay portion of the exam. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice little bonus, right? But yeah, so that's what's going to happen. And then once you are in the essay section, you can toggle between both essays. And you'll have 1 hour total for both. And then when the clock hits that hour, or the 4th hour, then your exam will automatically end. All right? So that's kind of how you should, what you will expect and what should happen during the exam. Now, if for any reason, when you hit the 3 hour mark in your MCQ section, either automatically or you try to move over to the essay section manually, if your exam ends right then and there, it means that that's an automatic fail. It means that you didn't get at least 50% of the MCQs correct. So unfortunately, your exam will end and you will just, you can just leave the test center. The essay section won't open at all because based on the scaling scoring system, even if you got the essays 100% correct, it won't be enough to pass the exam. So that's why the exam just ends right there. But if you got at least 50% of the MCQs correct, then you will move forward to the essay section. So I think that's something that I wanted to clarify so you guys would know what happens if that's something like that happens to you guys, but hopefully not. All right, so that was the question that I wanted to cover today. What is the CMA exam like? All right, so now I'm going to go over questions. I know there are several questions that came through, and thank you so much for asking. So let me switch over here. And for those of you who are just tuning in, please don't forget to subscribe to the show. Hit the subscribe button so that way you'll be notified when a new video goes up on my channel on YouTube, and also when I go live next Friday. As a little preview, on Monday, I've been asked to compare the CMA exam versus the CGMA exam or designations. So on Monday, I'm going to publish a video comparing both. I compared the CMA to the CPA 2 weeks ago, and it was a really good video, really good feedback. I just wanted to make sure that I provided you with objective information so that you could make a decision as to which one was best for you. Now, the next one that I've been asked to create is the CMA, like I said, versus the CGMA. So that video is going live on YouTube on Monday. So if you're not subscribed to the show, just hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified when the video goes up and you don't miss out on it, all right? It's a really good video. It's about 8 minutes long, so it's a longer video than usual than the ones I make on YouTube. But there was just so much good information that I wanted to make sure that I covered all the bases so that you could make the best decision for you. Both designations are in the management accounting arena, so it's important that based on your career objectives and what you want out of your professional career, then you choose the correct one for you. Okay, so anyways, that's coming on Monday. So, and for those of you who are listening on the podcast show, that means that video already published, so you can go on YouTube and watch it. All right, so now that we've covered that, let me jump to questions. By the way, thank you all for being here today. It's so good to be here every single Friday. All right, so here we have a question. Nathan, I can't study regularly. What should I do? Okay, so when it comes to a study schedule, I know that for most people who self-study, meaning they don't have a study plan, they have no structure, they're just studying on their own, hence self-study, the struggle is finding structure. So my suggestion is, if you are self-studying, it's going to be very important that you create a schedule for yourself and that you follow it week by week. Now, if but the key here is to create a schedule that you can stick to. If you know that you can only study for 1 hour a day, for as an example, okay, you know, based on your schedule, that's all you can. Don't create a study plan that will require you to study 2 to 3 hours a day. Because what's going to happen is on day one, you will study 2 to 3 hours because you're going to push through and be like, you're going to feel very motivated and you feel like, okay, I can do this. But then life will start, to take your attention away from your study program. All your other obligations will too. So what's going to happen is by day 4 and 5, you're going to be studying maybe an hour and a half, maybe just an hour, which would have been fine, but you are going to feel defeated because your plan was to study for 2 to 3 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? So create a study plan that you can stick to. If you're self-studying, my students in my academy, they already have a study plan when they enroll. It's a 16-week program where I break down every specific topic that they need to cover every single week. Sometimes they need extra time on a specific topic, so the program is flexible in that way, and I work with my students. But for the most part, they stick to their schedule and they're able to finish within 16 weeks. If you are self-studying, then create your own plan. And like I said, the key is to create it in a way that you know you can stick to it. Don't set yourself up for failure, okay? I know that at the very beginning, we may feel very enthusiastic and very excited to start studying, which is great. But if we don't come up, if we're not a little more realistic with how much time we have, then that can be a problem. Now, on the flip side is if you know you can only study for an hour based on your existing obligations and everything else you have to do, but you know that you have to study more if you want to finish the CMA faster, then it's important that you talk to your family or your friends or whoever you have responsibilities with to let them know that your CMA is going to take a higher priority for a limited time. So instead of spending 10 hours a week with them, you will spend only 5 hours, because that way you can add those additional 5 hours to your current availability. So if you could study only for 1 hour a day, now you can study for 2. So there has to be some sort of give and take. I think also another issue is that a lot of people, they try to keep their existing obligations, their responsibilities, their activities the same. And on top of that, they want to add the CMA, and then becomes overwhelming. So either something's got to give, right? And more often than not is the CMA. So they say, I'm going to study 2 weeks from today, and 2 weeks turn into a month or 2 months. Next thing they know, it's been a year. And believe me, I get emails from people saying that they have postponed their CMA studies for years. So, and they're like tired of it and they're ready just to get it done. So, and then they enroll in my program, they finish it in 16 weeks, take their exam, and they're done, right? So it's important that you come up with a study plan that you can stick to. And like I said, if you need to let go of certain activities for a limited time, then I would recommend that you do that. Personally, when I was studying for the exam, I was working full time. So I would go to Starbucks, a coffee shop, after work and just hit the books, get my coffee, hit the books. And on weekends, I would go to Starbucks and hit the books again and study. For me, I couldn't study at home because I would get very distracted with the TV or whatever. So it was better for me to always leave the apartment. Obviously, right now, with the lockdown, it's a little different. So try to find an area in your home that you can dedicate just to your CMA study program. Even if it's just a little corner of your dining table, set aside a little spot that whenever you sit there, is only to study. Everything else in the house can be for anything else, but that little corner should be only for the CMA. And I highly recommend that you do this because when you go to that little spot, you're building a habit. And before you know it, when you start walking towards that spot, your brain will already start switching gears into study mode. So when you sit, you start studying, it's just a lot easier. So that's my recommendation. If you cannot leave the house to study somewhere else, then find a little area where you can do that. So with a set schedule, a dedicated spot where you can study, I think you'll be able to stick to a more regular type of study schedule. Great question. I went on a long tangent, but I wanted to cover and explain why it's important to have a structured way of studying. I need to pass both exams within a year. Okay, it is possible, but like I said, you need to come up with a study plan that will help you. If you need help, let me know. The Academy program is a 16-week program, so you can finish both parts in 8 months. That's less than a year, and you will be completely done. Now, obviously, you do not have to enroll in my academy if you already have study materials. So I would suggest that you just look at the number of topics that you have and then break them up by week and follow that study program. Okay, let's see. Great questions, everybody. So Prometric has canceled exam dates. Yes, so obviously lockdown policies around the world are going to differ. Countries are in different stages of the virus. So some countries will have a more stringent lockdown versus others. So if your Prometric Center has canceled your exam, they will reach out to you in a couple weeks and try to help you reschedule it, okay? And also, if the rescheduling happens to a new exam window, the IMA will not charge any fees for it, so that's awesome, right? So you will be able to reschedule your exam to a different exam window at no cost. Great questions, thank you. Here, let me jump on Instagram real quick. So what is the next step after completing both parts of the exam? The next step is to submit your paperwork to the IMA to be officially certified. Ideally, you will have done that already before you already took your exams, because you can submit your paperwork to them during your study program, so that way you give them time to process it and all that. But if you have not done that, then the next step would be to submit all that paperwork. Next question is, I have a challenge with time management in the exam. So if you discover that you're having a time management challenge during your exam, that is a little too late, right? Because you are already taking your exam. It's important that we address that during your study program. And a way to do that is to take a lot of practice exams. You need to time yourself and try to beat your time. So for example, if you take a practice exam with 50 questions and it took you 3 hours, we know that's fine, but it's not fast enough for the real exam. So next time, try to finish it within 2 hours and a half if you can, or even 2 hours and 45 minutes. Any little bit helps. So it's important that you put yourself in a situation where you feel that time pressure, so that you can polish that skill in answering questions faster. It doesn't come naturally. You need to practice it, and that's the key. Here we have a question. What is your current job position or last? Sure. My last corporate job was working as a corporate controller. I was managing an accounting department, a payroll department, doing a lot of the financial, job costing, and whatnot. But that was 7 years ago. Now, full-time, I help candidates pass the CMA exam through cmaexamacademy.com. So I focus on that 100%. I don't have any other certifications in that program. It's just for the CMA. I don't do CPA or CIA or CFA or PMP or none of that. My goal is to just help candidates who want to pursue the CMA achieve the CMA. And I believe that's what sets us apart, because all of our resources, our team, my time is geared only for CMA candidates. Great question. Thanks for asking. What is the calculator brand? It'll vary. You can get HP calculators or Texas Instrument calculators. Again, there are specific models only. Go to cmaexamacademy.com, click on blog, and you will see an article there about CMA exam calculators. Please read it before purchasing your calculator. Like I said, I want to make sure that you guys buy the correct one, because the last thing I want is for you to get your calculator banned at the Prometric Center. Okay, great question though. All right. So those were all the questions on Instagram that I saw so far. So let me jump back on Facebook and YouTube. Where can I get a test bank for practice? You can get it on my website. Go to cmaexamacademy.com. You can find all the study tools that you will need there. It says, hi, Nathan, regular listener, but first time joining live. Oh, well, welcome. So you're a regular listener of the CMA Show podcast, but I'm glad you decided to join us on a live show. So thanks for being here. Here we have another question from Ilda. Let me put you on the screen here. Are the exam questions based in the books that we received from you, Nathan? The tests in the end of every lesson are very helpful, but my question is if any of these test questions will be part of the CMA exam. Ilda, that's a fantastic question. The textbooks that we wrote with my team, the ones that you got, cover every single topic that you will be tested on the exam. Okay, so we cover the subject matter at length and in a very straightforward manner, so they're easy to read and understand. Now, the actual questions that you will get on the exam, we don't have access to those. No one does. But we do have exam retired questions, and those can be found in our online test bank, which you have access to. So when you take practice exams there, you'll be practicing with retired exam questions and also with questions that we have written ourselves. And they follow the same content guidelines, the same content outline, so that way you can rest assured that you're practicing with questions with the same topics that you will be tested in your actual exam. Great question, Hilda. Thank you for asking. All right, so let's see. Do we have any other questions? You're very welcome. Accounting Art 1. I like that. I like that. Let me make sure. Let me jump on Instagram, see if there are any other questions. Looks like we've covered it all. All right, so today's question was, what is the CMA exam like? And we've covered that today, so I hope it was helpful. I don't see any other questions coming through, so I think we've covered it all for today. Wow, that's amazing. It's the first time where we are going to finish in less than an hour. Here we have a question. Great, thank you for asking. Do we have to have the latest versions, or is it enough to cover the syllabus content from different resources? If you have the latest, the 2020 edition textbooks, that's more than enough. You don't need anything else. Now, obviously, for those candidates who may not have a strong background in accounting or finance, you may find that you want to dive deeper on a specific type of content. For example, you may want to dive deeper into trial balances, how it works, maybe journal entries, how that works, debits, credit, like more basic foundational accounting knowledge. Then the CMA textbooks will not cover that, because the understanding is that those who will prepare for the exam have some type of foundation of knowledge in accounting. So I would suggest to go to your local bookstore or library and rent or lease out a textbook on fundamentals of accounting. But if you have an accounting major or a finance major, or if you're working in accounting for a while, then the CMA 2020 edition is all you need. And for my students in the academy, I recently rolled out a knowledge refresher textbook for them. And that covers all the basics and the foundational knowledge that you will need in order to understand the CMA subject matter. But if you're not in the academy, then you can always find textbooks in your local bookstore, or even on Amazon as well. Great question. Thanks for asking. Here, Breno. What's up, Breno? What's going on, man? Good to have you here. He says, hey, Nathan, great info. Which entry-level positions are we looking at when we leave college to match experience quickly? All right, Breno. So if you graduate college, well, not if, when you graduate college, and you have your CMA, you pass your CMA exams, then you can start shooting for maybe a junior accountant, staff accountant type of position. You will learn a lot for sure. Now, if you graduate well, when you graduate and you have not taken the CMA exams yet, you may have to start maybe at an accounts receivable, accounts payable type of role to get an understanding of how an accounting department works. And then once you get like a year experience in that area, you can jump to a junior accountant or a staff accountant position. So the CMA will help you jump faster, but coming right out of college. But if you don't have the CMA yet, then I would suggest accounts receivable, accounts payable in that area. But it doesn't hurt to apply for higher roles. But if you have zero accounting experience, then probably be a bit of a challenge to get those jobs. So I would start there. I hope that was helpful, Breno. When I first started in accounting, I started as an accounting clerk. Granted, but I didn't have my degree yet. I was still going to school, but I was working during the day and going to school at night to be able to pay for my college because I paid it myself. So I had to work during the day, and my first job was an accounting clerk. I was filing paperwork, making photocopies. This is back in 2001, so it was a long time ago, 20 years ago. But we got to start somewhere, and then as you learn your job, you get good at it, you just move up to the next, to the next, to the next, and so you go. Okay, so Breno, you are going to graduate in May, and you're missing only part 1 to pass. That's awesome. Yeah, so when you graduate, then by then I'm assuming you'll have passed part 1 also. So you will not be officially certified just because you need 2 years of work experience, but having the CMA on your resume will absolutely help. When the interviewers ask you about the CMA, whether you are an active CMA or not, you can explain that you've passed the exam, you've proven that you have the knowledge and the skills. All that's left is to gain work experience. If you position it in some way like that, then an employer could give you an opportunity to be maybe a staff accountant and gain that work experience. So like I said, having the CMA will help you move faster up the ladder than not having it. By the way, Breno, congrats on your graduation, man. I see a picture of you playing tennis right there. Looks like you're a good. You have like good form and everything. I was learning how to play tennis a long time ago, and I love the sport. Here we have a question. Faisal, please tell us about the CPE requirements after getting certified. Great question, Faisal. So as a CMA, once you earn your CMA, you need to fulfill 30 units of continuing educational units, pretty much, professional education. So as an IMA member, you will have access to a ton of courses that provide you like a 1 unit of CPE, sometimes 2 units of CPE. It varies, but they're free. They're free to IMA members. So you can learn from a wide variety of topics. So I would suggest go in there, Faisal, and start accumulating those 30 hours of CPE. Remember that you need to have a certain number of CPE units in ethics. So it's important that you consider that as well. But that's every year. And the thing is, some people get frustrated at this because they don't want to do it. But the way I see it is, this is for our benefit as CMAs. We want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest information out there. And fulfilling our CPE units is a way for us to do that, right? So you want to stay competitive in the job marketplace. You want to be improving your skill sets every single year. Accounting standards change, right? So we need to be informed as to what those changes are, because we are the executives from the financial management aspect, from the management and accounting aspect of an organization. So it's our job to stay up to date on all changes in accounting and finance. So taking CPE courses helps us do that. So when you embrace the CMA or any other certification or license like the CPA, CIA, CFA, they all require CPE units, because it's important, like I said, for us to stay up to date on what's changing and what's new. So as you embrace the CMA, just embrace the thought of lifelong learning. That's really what it comes down to. You're going to learn every year. You're going to be exposed to new topics every year, to new standards, to changes. Just embrace it all. It's just part of being a CMA in a very competitive marketplace. You are welcome, Ilda. My pleasure. Student athlete. Very, very nice, Breno. Playing college tennis too. Sweet. I like that. Very cool, man. I miss playing sports. That's the one thing I miss playing sports right now so bad because we can't really go outside, but I do miss it a lot. I hope you're staying healthy, man. In a study plan, here's another question. Thank you for asking. How many hours should we allocate before taking part one and part two in one sitting? Oh, in the same exam window. Okay, so if you want to take both parts in the same exam window, it's possible, but with I want to clarify something. I want to point out something. Is if you are able to study full time, like full time, then yes, it's possible to take both parts in the same exam window and pass. I've I've had students do that. I've interviewed people on my podcast who have done that. So it is possible. If you work full time, I would encourage you to take only one part per exam window because trying to study for both parts to take in the same window while working full time, it's gonna take a lot out of you. And so far I've never heard of anyone do it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but as you know, the pass rates for the CMA exam are low, 45% globally. That's the industry average. So what does that tell you, right? It's not an easy exam. And instead of trying to finish it quickly, you could go at a slower pace, but pass on your first attempt. So instead of it could take you 8 months to pass both parts, which is still not bad. It's less than a year, right? But if you try to take both at the same time and it doesn't work out, then you are extending that time frame to another year. So you could be studying for 2 years just because you were trying to finish it quickly. So my advice is be the tortoise, right? Go slower, but at a steady pace and secure those pass rates one exam at a time. Now, like I said, if you're not working full time and you can study full time, you can hit both books. Sure, go for it. It is possible. And if you plan to do that, definitely study for about 6-7 hours a day if you can. And don't study both parts simultaneously because it's just way too much information. My suggestion is tackle one part. So let's say you want to go for part one first. So study part one and finish it within, I don't know, 2 months maybe. Once you're done with that, then go for part two and finish it within 2 months. If you try to study both simultaneously, it's just way too much information. And one is more accounting geared. Part one is more accounting and part two is more finance. So they're quite distinct. So that's why I recommend tackling only one part at a time. All right, but that's a very good question. Thanks for asking. Thanks, Day. These are good thoughts, Nathan. I appreciate that. You're welcome, Faisal. My pleasure. All right, let's see. We have anyone else here on Instagram. Is it important to use questions for practice exams from Glenn Wiley Hawk? So I don't think it's necessary to buy every test bank out there. It really isn't. Because the topics are the same, no matter which review program you choose, right? We all follow IMA's learning outcome statement. So I don't think it's necessary. You just need one test bank and that's it. And I say that because in my academy, we built our own test bank and we have our own questions and we use exam retired questions. And my students use only one test bank and my pass rate is above 90%. So my students have a pass rate above 90% compared to the industry average of only 45%. So there's a big difference there. And my students are not buying 2, 3, 4 test banks. One, I think is a waste of money because they are expensive and I don't think it's necessary. So if you already have a test bank, stick to that and just use that one. If you have two, great, use those two, but that's it. You don't need more. The only reason I think, and this is from talking to CMA candidates for the past 7 years, I think people buy a lot of test banks because the way they study. One, they are not really reading any textbook. All they have is the test bank. So they assume that by memorizing the questions in the test bank, that they will pass the exam because they think that those questions will be on their actual exam, which is not true. None of those questions will be on the actual exam. The same topics will be for sure, but the actual questions themselves are going to be different. So, and people think, a lot of people think, or they just have a misunderstanding that the questions in the test bank will show up in their actual exam. So they go out and buy 2, 3, 4 different test banks from different providers, and they try to memorize all the questions. It just doesn't work. And I think that also contributes to the low pass rate that we see around the world, 45% industry average. So my recommendation is just focus on the test bank that you have. If you don't have one, you're welcome to go to cmaexamacademy.com and check out the one I have there that my students use. But if you already have one, you don't have to buy any other. Just use that one. And if that's your only study tool, my recommendation is please get textbooks, because the textbooks are the foundation for all that knowledge that you need to learn. The test bank is an important study tool, and you must use it, but shouldn't be your only study tool. You need to couple that with actual textbooks. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. It's no one's fault. I think it's just some people have certain study habits and they want to pursue it that way. But for the CMA exam, because it is a hard exam, it's pretty tough. I want to make sure that you guys have the right study tools, that you're using the right study tools and the right process to pass your exam. Ilda is asking, how is better, Nathan, to read the book first and after to watch your videos, or conversely? So Ilda, by the way, Ilda is one of my students in my academy. So Ilda, thank you for tuning in to today's show. So Ilda, the process in the academy is to read your textbook first. And once you're done reading your textbook and, doing some active reading, like highlighting, making notes and whatnot, then jump to the program and watch the video lectures, because the lectures will reinforce what you're reading on your textbooks. And sometimes I will expand on topics and whatnot. So definitely read first. And once you're done with that, then definitely go to your program and start watching my video lectures. All right? And that will bring it together. I would suggest that you start studying that way for the first month. If you feel like that process is not working for you, there's no harm in switching it up. If you are more of a visual learner and you want lectures first, then sure, you can go and watch the video lectures first and then do the reading later. So it's going to come down to your preferred learning style. But I would say give it a shot first. Give it a shot of studying, of reading the textbook first and then watching the lectures. I can almost guarantee that it will work for you. But if it doesn't, for any reason, you can switch it up. But let's start there. Next question is, what month do exam schedules fall? Dad, that's a great question. This year has been a little different because of the lockdowns and everything. The second, normally, in a normal year, you have January, February as the first exam window of the year. May, June is your second exam. And then September, October is your third exam window. So you got 3 windows. Each window is 2 months long. This year, because it's a very different year, the exam window, May, June, got extended to July. So right now, we are in the second exam window, which ends on July 31st. Now, the third exam window should start on September 1st, but this year is going to start on August 1st. So it's August 1st all the way to October 31st. So that's 3 months long for the last exam window of the year. Great question. All right, let me jump on Instagram real quick. How many revisions are required before you give exams? I guess by revisions, you mean practice. Practice until you feel confident. That's how much you should practice. If you do not feel confident, and if your exam scores, your practice exam scores are low, then I would suggest to keep practicing. There isn't a secret number. I think what you're asking me, which I understand why, but there isn't a secret number of practice exams. It's not, once you take 10 practice exams, you're ready for your actual exam. Or once you take 5 practice exams, you'll be ready. It doesn't work that way, right? It's going to vary student by student, and also it's going to vary based on level of readiness, on your background, if you have an accounting degree or you don't, how many years of work experience do you have. So there are a lot of variables that come into play. So it's really hard to tell you the exact number of practice exams that you need to take in order to pass your exam. So I think that metric can be very misleading. So a better metric, a more accurate metric, is your exam score. So when you take practice exams, you want to score as high as possible. If you're scoring in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, even 70s, that means that you probably need to study a little more. You're not quite there yet. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing, because you're getting feedback from your test bank and telling you, hey, study a little more, study this topic a little more, or study that section a little more. So it is a positive thing. But if we don't listen to it and we just push forward and take the exam, then we shouldn't be surprised if we don't pass. So take your test bank as a feedback mechanism. You read the textbooks, you watch your video lectures. If you have video lectures, my students in my academy do, and then you take practice exam. Let the practice exams be the feedback that you need, whether you need to keep studying the same section or the same topics, or if you're ready to move on to the next. Great question, though. Thank you. They're saying, I'll put you on the screen, man. They're saying, I just would like to say thank you for the free books, both part 1 and 2. I thought I wasn't going to receive them because no international flights coming to Saudi Arabia. So happy to receive them. You're very welcome. We've been shipping all over the world, even during the lockdown. And sometimes it took over a month for my packages to get delivered. And it's because of the lockdown. But I'm glad that the textbooks made it. The only country that I have not been able to ship to, because nobody's shipping there, is Myanmar. So that's the only country that I haven't been able to ship. But otherwise, we've shipped to Europe, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, South America, the Caribbean, all around North America. We've shipped everywhere. To Australia, New Zealand. We can cover the entire map, I think, which has been awesome. And I'm just so happy that everybody's got their textbooks. It took a little while, so I appreciate your patience. I know some had to wait a month or longer to get their textbooks, but they finally got it. Ilda's saying the books are amazing. Those are like a treasure in my home library, the best assets in my trial life balance. Ilda, that is very sweet of you. I'm really happy to hear that you are enjoying the textbooks. Those textbooks have evolved over the years. I first launched my CMA textbooks back in 2015. So it's been a long time. And since then, we've had many revisions with my team. We've been writing them, improving them. And I'm very proud of the 2020 edition. We've put a lot of time into those. So I'm very happy to hear that you're happy with them. Thank you so much. All right. Well, it looks like we finished on Instagram. So over here, what is the best study plan schedule? Whoa, that's a big question, my friend. And I'm not sure that we have enough time to go over it. I need to end this call in 6 minutes. But as a high-level overview, look at the number of topics that you have in your textbook. Spread them all out, count them. Then decide how long you plan to study. Let's say you plan to study for 5 months if you're self-studying. Then just make the division, and that will tell you how many topics to hit every single week until you finish your entire textbook. That's the simplest form of coming up with a study plan. The key, though, is not just the study plan. The key is to stick to your study plan. That's the hardest part for almost everybody, including me. I had a very, very hard time coming up with a study plan because I didn't have one. I was self-studying. But once I did, it was challenging to stick to it. But I mean, I did at the end of the day, but it was challenging. So I can totally understand if you have a study plan and you're having a hard time sticking to it, because I've been there. If you don't have a study plan, then when you create one, you may go through it and have that same experience that I did. And I say that because most professionals have had that experience, but just know that we just pushed through that. We've come up with a study plan that worked, that didn't take way too much time. It didn't take 20, 30 hours a week. Mine did, because I didn't know what I was doing. I had to figure it out. But for example, students in my academy, they don't have to spend that much time studying, because I've already laid out the entire thing for them. That's one of the benefits of enrolling in my program. But if you self-study, you create your study plan, make sure that you follow it. And it's okay to make adjustments as you go. It doesn't have to be too rigid, because life happens. Sometimes we have other things that we got to take care of. So I would say just be flexible a little bit, but not too much, right? We don't want to derail from the study plan that you have laid out for yourself. So if you need an extra day or two, maybe 3 days extra on specific weeks, that's totally fine. But if you start postponing months, then that's a red flag that maybe you have gone off the study plan altogether. So it'd be a matter of just taking a step back, replan, and then start again from where you left off. Great questions, everyone. This is so good. Next question is, my membership at IMA is active. Do we have any free material or textbooks or test bank? The IMA does not provide study materials, but you do get an exam support package. And in this package, you will have some multiple choice questions to practice with. So you will get something, but what you get is not enough. You definitely need a review course to help you study from the beginning to the end. Can you tell us the technique on how to answer essay questions? Oh, Dad, that's a great question, but I don't think we have time to cover that, but I will do it next week, okay? So I hope you come back and ask me that question. But to quickly give you something, because I don't want to leave you with no answer at all, is a quick way to answer an essay is to review the questions of your essay first and then read the entire essay. Most people read the essay first and then the questions, but what happens is they have to go back and read the entire essay all over again, so they're wasting time. So if you want to answer essays fast, read the questions first and then read the entire essay, because then that way you'll know what the question is asking you and you'll be able to extract that information. I hope that was helpful. Ilda is saying, no vacation for this year, only studying. Well, I mean, why not, right, Ilda? It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Right now, we have been given the gift of time. We have time more than ever because we are at home, right? We don't commute to work, so that saves at least an hour a day, if not more, right? And then we don't have to go out to dinners or go out to social events. We don't have to, so we are saving a lot of time. So my personal motto is to use that time to learn something new. So I have a ton of books that I've been reading on AI. I'm reading on Bitcoin, on cryptocurrencies. I'm reading on stock markets, real estate. I'm reading and learning so much right now. I'm learning more about how to teach better, about teaching techniques, about learning techniques, so that I can share what I learned with you guys to help you learn more effectively. So I'm learning a lot. I'm not spending a lot of time on Netflix or Amazon Prime or any of that, because I want to look back months from now and say, Nathan, you spent your time wisely. So that's my advice to you guys. It's okay to have downtime, but don't make your downtime your lifestyle. Downtime is just to recover, not to make it a lifestyle. So have downtime, have fun, relax. But then when you have energy and whatnot, try to use it to learn something new. So Ilda, I'm so happy that you've enrolled in the academy and that you're studying, that you're using your time wisely. I couldn't be happier that you've joined. And I look forward to helping you become a CMA. And the same goes to everyone else who is in my program. And if you're not in my program, that's totally cool. That's why I jump on these weekly live shows, to give you guidance, to give you some tips so that you too will find exam success. Well, everybody, it's been an hour. Thank you for being here with an entire hour with me. Remember to subscribe to the show. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified when a new video goes up. On Monday, I have the CMA versus CGMA designation. So if you're curious about both management and accounting designations, that video is going live on Monday. And if you are listening on the podcast, you're listening in 4 days later than Monday, so on Thursday. So you can go back and watch that video because it will already be there. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. And now you can go and get your exam cheat sheet. The link to grab it is above or below this video. Just click on it, enter your email, and it will be delivered to you. These are my best 9 tips and tactics to pass the CMA exam on your first attempt. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend. Bye.